Good morning, everybody. It is 9 o'clock on October the 9th, 2017, and I call the Potter County Commissioners Court to order. Today we have Skip Chisholm from Rock Church who will do the invocation. Is that you? Okay. Come on up, everyone stand, please, and you're going to stand and pledge.
Father, we begin by thanking you, Lord, that you are who you are. Father, we thank you for blessing this great nation, this state, this city, this county. And Father, we give all glory to you. Lord, this morning I just come before you and I ask your blessing on these men and women whom you've appointed to positions of leadership. Father, I just pray that you would richly bless them with wisdom, discernment. Father, that you would bless their families, their homes, for all they do for this city and this county. Father, we acknowledge you in all we do. You're the creator of all things. You're worthy of our praise and our attention. And we thank you, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Number one is recognition of gifts. Recognize the September 24th, 2017, for our county commissioners report. Is there any changes or additions to that? If not, so recognized. Number two, vouchers. Consider an act upon the approval of the payment of vouchers processed by the county auditor's office for the period of September 20, 2017 to October 4, 2017. Check numbers 1775050 through 177292 to try and wire transfers 9673 972 to $2,795,328.46.
I move that we approve of the vouchers for the checks and wire transfers presented by the county judge.
Second.
Motion is second.
I do have a question. Page 25 of 37, looks like wire 970. Scott, this may be in your office. There's a line item at Amazon.com, County Attorney's Office, $949.95 for side-by-side dual monitors. Can you, I just, that figure seemed a little high for monitors. I didn't know if there was something special about that.
I'll have to check into it. I have no idea.
Okay. Carrie, do you know my chance? Okay.
Yeah, I think it may be more than one.
Okay. Thank you. That's all the questions.
Okay. A motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hand. 5-0. Number three, insurance report. Recognizing insurance budget report. Okay. She's not going to be here today. Okay. Okay. Anything change on that? Okay. So recognized. Number four, workers' compensation insurance to hear a report from Steve Lapp with Fairleigh Consulting Group regarding workers' compensation insurance renewal for 2017 and N. A, consider an act upon the recommendation to renew the workers' compensation contract to Texas Political Subdivision for the amount of $171,483 for the period of November 1, 2017 to October 31st, 2018. This fee does include a fee for Fairleigh Consulting Group LLC as the county's broker to be paid separately out of the county. And B, to authorize Potter County Judge to sign an order to bind workers' compensation addendum and service agreement and necessary contracts as they become available. Steve Holmes, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Starting November 1 will be the third year of a 3-year rate guarantee that we have in political subdivisions. The premium is up slightly from $169,818 to $171,483, and that's due to the payroll payroll increase of $879,000. Otherwise, all the rates of the experience modifier and everything's exactly the same, so this will just be the third year. Next year we'll put it out for RFP. Our losses over the last 5 years have been averaging about 131,000, which is about an 80% loss ratio, which, insurance companies usually look for a 65% loss ratio, so we're running a tad high losses, but it just confirms that we have pretty good rates.
Steve, in preparation for that and going to market, since we are running a little high, I'm imagining, and I don't know if this is a correct kind of assessment, but that there may need to be some risk strategies. I don't know if we have points of vulnerability that we're seeing on our claims. I know TAC offers quite a bit of resources, so I'm thinking of a way to be proactive before we go out with the RFP again.
That's right. We're coming off a really good year this year, so we have taken some steps to mitigate the losses this year. Our losses are 68,837 versus last year, the 15-16 year was really a tough year, $350,000 in losses. So we've made some significant strides of improvement over the last 12 months, and we'll continue to do that.
And do you know what is driving that change? I don't know that we've had visibility on the quarter of what's happening to mitigate those increases.
There was a couple of pretty substantial losses in 15-16 that really don't have any kind of trends.
Okay.
Issues with them, but they really drove that ratio up. So we're not doing anything trend wise to improve. It's just a matter of continuing our standard safety practices and assessment.
So we've been pretty consistent with maybe a couple of them,
That's right. The year before that was 35,000, so a very good year. The 14-15 year, and then the 13-14 year was 162,000. So we kind of jump up, come back down, jump up. And in those years that we jump up, we're kind of the shock losses with the severe rather than frequency. We don't have a frequency problem.
I make a motion that we approve renewal of the workers' comp contract to the Texas Political Subdivision in the amount of $171,483 for the period of November 1/17 through October 31st, 18, and to authorize Judge Tanner to sign the order to bind workers' compensation.
Okay, a motion and a second, all in favor, raise your right hand. 5-0. Steve, I do not have the order, you're in my packet.
I think you have it.
Oh, you do, okay, cool, okay, well, I'll do it after. Thank you, Steve, appreciate you. Number 5, resolution, Texas Indigent Defense Commission to consider and act upon a resolution for the 2018 Indigent Defense Program Grant. This is something they do every year. And every year it seems like the money goes down. Things that didn't go down this year, a little bit, but it remained the same place. Even though the need rises every year. So,
So what did it, you have that system, the phone now that you can tell exactly what it is?
We don't have our letter for the new year. I can tell you. In 15, we had 177 minutes, about 100. Yours just ended was about 135, but only anticipated 130 for the upcoming year.
well,
Well, it's still needed.
we still need it, yeah, I'm grateful that we do get that that small amount, even though we're spending $5 million, you know, $1.5 million, you know, the same thing, but it helps, but I can't turn it down. I won't turn it down, so.
Move we approve the, resolution for 2018 imaging defense program grant.
Second. We have a motion and a second, all in favor, raise your right hand. 5-0. Okay, bond approval, county judge, to consider and act upon approval of additional bond, increasing the bond from 10,000 to 100,000 pursuant to legislative action. I do not know why they decided to change that, to raise it.
That's pretty steep.
It's pretty steep, yeah, pretty steep, but, I
Just say don't trust you.
no, it's not, it's not, all the county judges, because we do probates and guardianships, and they said, well, we always do probates and guardianships, so, I don't know. Whatever, so they raise it. So I need a motion.
I move to approve the additional bond increase from 10,000 to 100,000 pursuant to legislative action.
A motion and a second, all in favor, raise your hand. 5-0, thank you very much. Number 7, Justice Court Technology Fund, to consider and act upon the purchase of 2 Apple iPad Pros and keyboards to replace existing iPads JP2, JP3, in accordance with Code of Criminal Procedure 102.017. Jackson.
This one replaces the one that we tried. Two courts we're discussing, we've had our iPads now for over 5 years. We haven't been able to update them in probably about a year and a half. Apple is no longer supporting our original ones with those. Then the units are too old to accept the new updates, so. Our last update was version 9, and we're at 11, so we haven't been able to update the phone. They're getting where they're very slow anymore. Probably about half the time our email no longer works. I mean, it'll send the email, but when we send our attachments, it sends the attachment with no printing on it. So it's kind of comes through. So we're asking it to come from the technology fund, so come out of our budget. It's got to get us.
How much do we have in there? There's no different.
Judge, is that anything the IT department has looked at to troubleshoot?
They have on a couple of them, and they've already replaced those, so two of them replaced last month. So, yeah,
But these 2 that are being replaced currently,
we're having the same problem.
but those haven't been reviewed by IT yet? Okay.
I move that we approve the purchase of the 2 Apple iPad Pros and keyboards to replace existing iPads and JP2 and
Commissioner, second, for a quick question, if I may, the replacements, will those be sent to auction? What will happen to those that are no longer used?
We were told when we got those, and IT was not supporting at all, they were not to bring in IT, so unless something's changed.
Yeah, I don't know why we wouldn't look at it, we can look at it if we like, yeah.
I mean,
How many IT directors ago was that? 2 more? Okay, I have a motion in a second, all in favor, raise your right hand. What?
Did Commissioner Morbius second that?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Number 6, Potter County Memorial Stadium lease to consider for approval a lease contract with Center Academy for use of Potter County Memorial Stadium. Tim, we have this draft, have you seen it?
I have seen it,
You have
yes.
seen it? Did you have any questions before we ask any questions?
No, but I would like to let you know that, our attorney for the school is yet to get with, Scott and Tad to just finalize a few details and specify just a few little things
Okay.
that are on behalf of the county and on behalf of the school.
So because of that, should we wait to take formal action
I
before we
think
get
so,
a
I
valid
think you would want
contract?
to act on the actual contract rather than tentatively.
Okay, do we know when we're gonna get together on this?
But it should be this week, I would
I would
imagine.
guess so.
Yeah.
So, we got a question with lighting. Mike, are we gonna be, working on those big lights for this thing? I thought y'all played just day games, is that correct? Are you planning on playing night games?
We don't plan on playing night games.
If need be, we go through it, we keep the lights, now we can keep them operational year-round if we needed to. Typically, we bring them up in the springtime, so it's up to them, we just need to know in advance, because we have to check those primary
That's
lights.
where we spend most of our money.
That is correct.
If they're playing day games, and I don't really see why we need to spend money on that.
On the lighting. Okay.
Just want to- that's
I think we had that included in the contract, in case they brought in somebody else other than y'all's school that would want to utilize it at night time.
And I think there's language in the contract, if they decided to use it for anything than the youth, they would come to the commissioners court and ask for approval.
Correct.
So that may be where the lights become important, if it's any type of event.
We did talk about soccer and just some outdoor concerts and stuff like that.
Yeah, we may have some additional activities that go on out there outside of baseball. We really want to use the stadium, year round, so that there's some life in it to keep it up and to just, make sure that facility is used to its max potential. So I came today knowing that the lease contract was not gonna be finalized, but I wanted to field any questions or, see what you guys want on top of your brains.
That was my concern.
Yeah. Other than that, I think, as far as the lease contract goes, the things that we're looking at is just, the terms of the responsibilities for the improvements, which hopefully we can be more project-based, is one of the things that we talked about, like the very top, what would you call it, press box. Securing that, making sure that that's, safe and secure, with removing it if possible, that may be some barriers there, but, just making sure that that's safe. And then security, then, making sure that any projects that we do come before the county and Mr. Head to make sure that we're acting within the scope of what we should.
So, any of the issues that, occurred, just reaching out there?
We're gonna talk about those in just a few minutes, and Tim's aware of those, aren't you?
The vendors?
I think, Nicholas is gonna tell us all. So we'll bring this back in 2 weeks, that give you enough time to get with Scott, and we'll see you then. All right, thanks,
Thank you.
Tim.
Thank y'all very
Appreciate
much.
it. And number 9 is also one of them has the, right, okay. Number 10, Potter County, Potter Randall Appraisal District, consider an act on the appointment of one board member to serve a 2-year term. This is the one that we thought everyone was gonna be on board, and then one person said she wants off. So we need to appoint somebody. And I actually heard tonight, listserv with all the, other county judges that a commissioner can serve on that. So I would like to put a commissioner on that. Who wants to be on that board? All the commissioners just look down, did y'all see that?
I was actually gonna volunteer, but I know I'm looking at Commissioner Church here, because I actually do work quite a bit with the appraisal district, only on the downtown projects that I'm asking questions on, of what is exempt versus non-exempt, and that's in my interaction with the appraisal district.
So without no objection, I turn to the commissioner also.
You or you?
I mean, considering.
Well, you had a name.
I have a name, but I defer to the county judge if she desires to have a commissioner swear in.
It was your name. You had another name? This is coming up pretty quick, they're gonna send us stuff out like in the next week. That we have, that's all we need to come up with somebody.
I have no problem with your suggestion of commissioners.
You have no problem with my suggestion? So if I suggest one of y'all, will freely do it with a smile.
Yes.
I suggest Commissioner Church.
That motion, because I will follow that up in a second.
Y'all see that smile?
My only.
No, seriously, tell me that's not. Okay.
Is that a motion?
All right, that's a motion, I nominate that we appoint Commissioner Church to serve a 2-year term on the Potter Randall Racing District.
And I'll second that.
Your second,
I did.
okay. Have a motion. We'll talk to her a while. I'm not gonna talk to you later. We have a motion and a second, all in favor.
You're not
Here, vote for yourself, sir. 5-0. Thank y'all very much. Number 11, elevator maintenance contract, to consider for approval an elevator maintenance and service agreement for fire station number 3.
Yeah, we'll bring that back in 2 weeks. Mike still has some issues he'd like to have ironed out. I prefer to present the finalized
I got
contract.
you. Okay, 2 weeks on that too. Number 12, interlocal agreement to consider for approval of proposed interlocal agreement with Armstrong County for inmate detention.
I'm assuming that you got that.
Yes.
And it's just, when we put out the plea that we were packed, and everybody saw that we were trying to get one with Lubbock, and everybody started calling and saying, oh, yeah, this goes too. Everybody wants to make a little money, so this is just another, contract that we can utilize that will be a lot closer to the market. Granted, we're probably only about 4 or 5 beds over there, but it could help in the short term, so.
Okay.
So it looks like the prices are good.
Yeah, the price is a lot
Price is
better.
Pretty good too, so. And that's what we're looking for, is that price.
So sure, with this one, it would be Lubbock, Randall, Armstrong, and Childress. 4.
Bailey.
Bailey. And
Lubbock and Randall, two of them.
is Childress 60 a day, or is it now just still 40? Okay.
Works like it. Yeah,
Yeah.
2 hours.
I need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the interlocal agreement with Armstrong County for inmate detention.
Second.
A motion and a second, all in favor, raise your right hand.
Probably as good as you do, but if I can get that today, their meeting tomorrow. Thank you.
Okay, number 13, local government corporation, your update on local government corporation, Commissioner Peter.
This will be a quick update, but the LGC did meet last Monday, October 2nd, with one action item, and it was a presentation, discussion, and consideration of a construction manager at risk agreement. So LGC met, city council actually met, and there was one bid as a part of the process. This is for the downtown impact, is what that project is for. It is Western Hunt. I brought this packet. If any member of the court or anyone in the public would like to see this, but this is what was presented in response to the RFP. Western Hunt is actually a joint net new venture. So this is Western that you would think of local Western builders, and then Hunt adding the national layer to it. So these two entities joined together to then bid on this impact. So there was a lot of discussion at LGC, but it was presented, it scored very high in its proposal. But I brought this so anyone can take a look at it. There's a particular graphic on it that I liked quite a bit. It showed the stadium and arena experience that the national level is bringing to the team. Populous is the group that the impact is being designed by, and so the national level has done, I think, 50 projects with Populous. So it is part of what was vetted, the council has taken action, but I do always like to bring that to this court, so everybody
Where they
can
from?
advance.
I don't see anything on Fenway, so.
I'll pass that along, it has everybody's credentials on it, but I wanted to share that as a quick update, to the LGC.
So you don't know where they originated?
It's on the very front of it, I can get it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, on the national.
Someone told me that they heard Western, so they assumed it was Western Builders.
Western
It's not-
Builders, no,
It's not local.
Western Builders is the other local entity, yes,
So Western is,
is the local,
and then
Hunt is the national. And they
good, okay.
joined together
To
build a new company.
Local.
think of it like a new company.
Okay.
And that was really a lot of where my questions were, was the local and local subs and how much would be used and what would that look like? And Western did the new parking garage as well as the Globe News Center. So one of the things I was looking for was continuity in these projects. They're also doing our jail, our Fire County Jail.
Not
Law
the
enforcement,
jail.
law enforcement complex, not a jail, office.
No jail.
No jail. But they're also doing that project. Okay, so that's my quick update, but I can have
Okay, thank you. Okay, and number 14, tax increment investment zone tiers 2, to provide an update on the tax increment investment zone tiers 2 East Gateway.
So the tiers 2 did meet. This is the $100 million tiers project in East Amarillo. Still, I would say these meetings are fairly administrative right now. A couple of things that we have done is we have finalized the project and financing plan for tiers. That will go to the city council, and I would expect an agenda item on our court in the next, couple of sessions. Be thinking, as that happens, I'm expecting that we get that additional feedback in terms of participation. So be thinking of who you'd like to recommend for that.
We're thinking.
Okay, and we did have Kelly Shaw join us in this meeting, talking a lot about just housekeeping, how they got organized, the application that they used, how they went out to people to really look at some tiers initiatives to get the buildings started and get the project started. So we just finalized all that. That again is going to the council and it will go to all the governing bodies. So just a quick update on that.
Thank you. Number 15, County and District Clerks Association to hear report regarding letter to Honorable Nathan Hecht from the County and District Clerks Association, Carolina.
Good job. In your packet, is there, Well, I want to do some follow-up of the resolution that was passed today, January 23rd, about this commissioner's report and ultimately by 192 other counties. Because, at that time, we recognized that the Office of Court Administration and the Supreme Court were developing a database of independent counties. The counties didn't know about it, and so there were lots of concerns, and that's why we did the resolution. So I'm gonna go real basic, part of the legislation on the sausage making. It doesn't, bog you down too much, but I'll tell you what happened. We filed a bill, HB 1258, Travis Clardy, filed it for us. It was in Representative Smithy's, Judiciary and Civil Jurisprudence Committee. It took a long time to, come out. And at one point, we were doing lots of, weekly negotiations with the Supreme Court and the chairman to get language that everybody would agree to. That was a compromise. And when it came to the committee level, there were significant things that were left out of the compromise bill, including maybe the most significant was the protection for counties that, the liability protection. But we'd always said, this is not our county database. This is a state being developed database. So if there's specific, some things that are left out, significant information that's on there, exhibits functions that come up, and adoption information or CPS, it was not our database. And the state needs to take responsibility of making sure that they followed all the rules like we did. So, anyway, that was not in the bill. but, we recognized that it had to get out of committee or it could just, stay here and we could do anything else. So it was passed, went on the House floor, and our, sponsor amended on the House floor and brought back the liabilities of counties. It passed, the record vote was 3 no votes, so it passed in the House. One of the record no votes was, Representative Smithy, which was disappointing. It then moved to the Senate, where there was significant lobbying being done by the Supreme Court Justice Heck. And for quite a while, it did not even get sent to committee. Then finally, it was sent to Senator Huffman's State Affairs Committee, and it wasn't put on the calendar. And all this time, we were doing lots and lots and lots of calling, and to the point that the senators were saying, would you just tell me, quit calling, we're for this, we're trying the best we can, But, at the end, disappointingly, it just didn't go anywhere. So this letter is a response to, it was sent to everybody in the world, as you can see, and, specifically Chief Justice Heck, saying that, these issues have still not gone away with us. We, still believe that this database is a database that's being, maintained or created by the state. We, as a clerks, don't feel like we should have to maintain our local, make sure everything is correct, and then, police this other database to make sure that they're doing it right, number one. And we put in the liability issue again, that if something is in, this statewide database that, an expunction that's not taken out. And so, if that, the liability will be on the state. We also, I was gonna say, right now, what we are within 2 days of being totally integrated, I hope, with our tower technology and our program that we've had for two years. What we have now is let me go back just a bit. There's a rule, 21C, I think it's, rules of court, that if there is sensitive data on a document, you cannot put it on website. So, all of us would not put, documents on the website at all. I mean, we have our case history, but since now we have the ability to put them on the website, we're limiting it only to attorneys of record. So if you're Joe Blow's, divorce attorney, we turned it on so you can see all the documents. But we don't want to have, people that are surfing the web, maybe sitting on the night, being curious about a CPS case or a probate case or whatever, doing that. So we're limiting it to that. And that's our protection for Potter County. I think what may be coming down, the pike from the, Supreme Court is that there's the issue of redaction, statewide or countywide. We do not have in Potter County redaction software. It's very expensive. It's not that reliable. There's so much, sensitive information out there that it has to be very robust to do all this. But the state is saying that they can't afford it either. So I think it's going to come down to an issue of whether we are mandated to do it at the local level or the state picks it up and does it through their contract on us. So anyway, we're not through. We're not through. I think people were really surprised that the clerks stuck their neck out and took on the Supreme Court at the statewide level, but
You know why Representative Smithy voted no?
Yeah.
Well, there was one thing I know that and this is pretty sausage making stuff. He liked something called, where you, try to figure out a fee. It was negotiated fee making, that's what it was. And we wanted to be able to come in as a clerk to say, if we're selling these images, we want to have a say in what the fee would be. And that was one of his things. Plus, I mean, he's very close to, Justice Smithy, he's on the judicial council. When Smithy did, when Peg did the state of the judiciary speech, he was behind him. I think he was really influenced by him, and, you know, I mean, it's kind of hard to go against the Supreme Court justice, and he had essentially written the bill like he thought it ought to be. So when it was amended on the House floor, you know, I was watching it late at night, and you could see when the amendment started, you could see Smithy coming to the floor.
So what are next steps?
Well, I do believe that there's gonna be an interim study this summer, about the whole concept again, and the issues that we still continue to have about sensitive information, you know, all the information not being as protected as we think the clerks do at the local level. I think it'll be eye-opening for a lot of the legislators, because it's gonna get into the procurement policy between the OCA and Tyler Technology 4 years ago, and I just think that's probably next. And we continue to work through the Committee for Judicial Information to continue to hammer down our concerns. And there's about 4 or 5 counties now that are working with Tyler to test their new product to make sure that, you know, the bad things don't get out there. And they said they're trying to get it to go live in January, but I think it's really going slow. I think Tyler's concerned about their liability if something goes out there. I think the counties that have been asked to do the pilot, I know one is waiting on a contract with Tyler, so I think it's really going slow. But I think this is a legacy issue for Justice Peg. He puts it in the same category as the federal system PACER. And
I guess my concern is maybe more philosophical. Where does the judiciary branch come off making regulations and legislating things, basically? Where I interpret their job is to decide how to interpret those regulations.
I think there was lots of discussion about that.
What gives them that power?
Well, in fact, I heard people say, you know, always thought we had 3 level branches of government, but it seems like the judiciary can make their decision and, you know, there's no reference.
If the legislators yield to that,
I guess so, yes, if they yield to it.
my question, as far as the action, and that's something that, one, we look also on the mandate of the state legislators, and how much are we talking about?
I know Tom Green, looked at that, it was over, I really can't say, I know for $500,000 for the program, and they were going back on their own. You know, a lot of us that are really pretty jaded at this point, we're like, well, you know, the commissioners are the ones that are gonna say yes or no on buying redaction software, you know, they may mandate it, but, you know, who has the ultimate say? I think there's some other things they're gonna do. I think they're gonna change the Supreme Court changed the sensitive data rules. So right now, sensitive data is in, in the family code, every other page, you know, so the birthdays and blah, blah, blah. So I think that they'll search all those codes and try to take them out and have a sensitive one-page page that'll have all of it on there, and that will be synced or not, or unavailable, so that that's where they can put their put the documents on. But it goes, it's also in criminal law. I mean, there's, criminal law has birthdays, people's names, it just goes on and on and on and on, so.
Will you keep us posted during this
Oh,
conversation?
Last week, I don't know if I too long, but when it didn't work last week, I sent out an email to everybody that I know, and that's kind of the way I do things, maybe I'm saying, do it, and then I regret it. But, I did get a call back from Justice Heck, and, I wasn't in the office, and he sent me an email later, anyway, he said, I believe if the PACER system gives any indication, he said, I think the county will make enough money to be able to afford this reduction software. And I'm thinking in my mind, we've made money always on selling our copies. Why going through another system, are we gonna have enough again? But, yeah, I'll keep you posted.
Julie, is there anything you wanna add to this? All right, number 16, trailer seizure, to consider and act upon receipt of one 1999 Big Tex 16-foot utility trailer that is auto thefts inventory. The estimated value of the trailer is $1,000. Anybody gonna talk about that? Ah, here you come.
Sort of.
Yes, sir.
This is what I trade.
Did I marry you? Did I marry you?
Yes, ma'am.
It was a Harry Potter wedding, it was very, very impressive.
This trailer was awarded to us by the municipal courts. We intend to use it for investigations in the future, so I can approve it participating in this type of theft.
Donation is a donation, huh?
Sure.
Is it working well?
It is, we've got it up and running, street safe and road worthy.
This be added to the insurance, the county insurance. Do they expect to increase at all? Okay.
Okay, any questions?
Move we accept the donation for the, donation, the seizure, and add to our inventory the 1999 Big Tech 16 utility trailer to be entered into the auto theft inventory. Second.
Okay, have a motion and a second, all in favor, raise your right hand. Any opposed? Thank you so much. Number 17, equipment purchase to consider and act upon purchasing a John Deere 324E skid steer from Yellow House Machinery Company in the amount of $49,907, utilizing buy board contract 515-16. Funds are budgeted in 2017-2018 budget. So, what do you want to talk about that, Debbie?
Sebastian's gonna talk about it, but, that price did not include a $9,000 training. So the actual price is $40,970.
And how much do we have for budgeted, that line item? 46. Sebastian, are you excited to see this on the agenda?
Julie and I have given you two really good pieces of equipment.
Yes, you
What,
did.
are you asking for more now?
They didn't give me enough on the trade-in value.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yes, it's just a skid steer that we, had budgeted for. It's a lot nicer. We'll be able to do some, time in the parking lot when it snows, because it's a closed cab and it's got a heater. It's a lot better than what we had. We can use it in these tight spots.
Well, could you get over to the parking garage and clear those sidewalks, people can walk?
We can do that too.
Really
It's
worried
right
about
the
that.
budget. It's not too
Okay,
high.
good, okay.
I don't know about tearing up the grass.
Huh? No, I'm trying to get them to park there. Okay, need a motion.
Move we approve the purchase of the John Deere 324E skids, a steer from Yellow House Machinery. Do we need to put the price? With the trade-in of $9,000, so it would be $40,970.
Okay, have a motion and a second, all in favor, raise your hand. 5-0, thank you very much. Number 18, vehicle purchases to consider and act upon the following. A, one vehicle from Caldwell Country Ford in the amount of $37,398, utilizing 5-Oil Contract 521-16 for road and bridge, funds invested in the 2017-2018 budget. And number B, three vehicles from Caldwell Country Ford in the amount of $111,808, utilizing 5-Oil Contract 521-16 for the sheriff's office, funds invested in the 2017-2018. So that's just something we're gonna do, it's in the budget, we just need to approve it very quick. So moved, Tom. Okay, have a motion and a second. All right, it's a motion and a second, all in favor, raise your right hand.
I don't know if it makes any difference, but we normally buy it from the Chevrolet dealership. They have both, the Chevy and the Ford dealership.
Oh, is yours supposed to be, is this a typo?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if they're getting it from the Ford dealership, but they have two different dealerships.
Okay.
R3 or Chevrolet.
Okay.
Yes.
All
This is
right.
Chevrolet.
I have a motion, let's vote again, a motion and a second, all in favor. Raise your hand. Yes. 5-0, thank you very much. Number 19, employment items to consider and act on the following employment items, road and bridge, transfer of Corey Thomason and Sons Law to maintenance tech as a replacement for David Trevino effective October 1, 2017. Number 2, the employment of Michael Vasquez as maintenance technician effective October 1, 2017, and the discharge of Marco Ramirez as maintenance technician effective October 2, 2017. And then facilities maintenance, A, the employment of Tiffany Beth Tuttle as the custodian 1 as a replacement for Darrell Johnson effective October 16, 2017. Employment of Joe Daniel Radloff as mechanic technician 1 effective October 16, 2017. This is the new position. And then number 3, the employment of Lance Leslie Miller as mechanic technician 1 as a replacement for James Haskins effective October 16, 2017.
Quick question, Judge Sebastian, I think on Michael Vasquez, that is the net new position in budget?
No,
Is that right?
he was a replacement for Marco Ramirez.
Okay, it
The
is,
two new hires that I have started today. They'll be on the next one.
okay, okay.
Okay. Any motion?
I'll move to approve the list of employment items as stated.
Second. Motion and second, all in favor, raise your right hand. 5-0, thank you very much. Carter County projects, Mike.
We have, 2 presentations due this morning. I'll be doing one in the Chamber Speak, doing one here in a few minutes. First off, the Santa Fe Terracotta project, that project is completed 100%. We completed our 11th month inspection here a while back, so we're finished with that. The Santa Fe 11th floor flooring project, if you get a chance to go there and look at that, y'all approved that last year's budget where we replaced all the tile in those secondary areas. Currently right now, out of last year's budget, we are trying to complete everything on our Santa Fe District Court's building automation upgrade. Hopefully that'll be happening here within the next 2 or 3 weeks. Fire Station 3 project, we completed the 1 year warranty period on this, so we're completely finished with it as well. The Law Enforcement Center projects, I need to make you aware, we've had 2 PRs recently approved. And these 2 PRs, I've had to add some additional days to the Law Enforcement Center project. PR 35, was additional work where we had to add some electrical to the men's and women's lockers within those areas for them to put their radios in and something we dismissed on the project. PR 36, this was additional work. Y'all approved the contract amendments here a while back for the engineers that we designed both of these items. This was to revise the electrical where Motorola could adapt to our electrical out there. There's 2 different electricals. We have a 208 system, they have 110 volt systems, so we have to do a bunch of modifications to our Motorola equipment would work on our system, so that's what this is for.
So the original substantial completion on that project, was January 16, 2018. We moved it to January 17th, here a while back of 2018 due to the weather. So right now, with a total of 11 additional days, your new substantial completion is January 28th. In visiting with Western Builders last week, for some reason, they feel that the work can be completed within that January 17th date in the general conditions. We will receive a credit back from them on that, back to us. The second item is on the vehicle maintenance garage site out there. The original substantial completion was November the 4th. If you recall back when we started the project, you had your first revision for which took it to November 29th. We added 25 days to their contract. That's where we found the bad soil beneath the vehicle maintenance building out there. So they are asking for 12 additional days at this time. It's pending. We recorded this in the minutes of the meeting that we had this week. If need be, we will grant it to them. That would take the new substantial completion date for that building to December the 11th as well. The reason for this extension is Advance Energy has just failed to get out and relocate supply utility and gas lines out there, and it's hurting them on the project. We can still occupy the building as planned, but the parking lot, or I should say, we can still move furnishings if we have to, but you gotta have the parking lot finished before you get a CO, certificate of occupancy from the city. To date, the PRs issued on this project is 51. That's a proposal request. Change orders approved to date is a total of 12. That went out last Friday. Your current remaining balance of your contingency is approximately a little over $1.2 million. Still in contingency. Remember the $700-something thousand additional work that was approved by certain members of the court, that is still going to come out of that additional money right there. We're working on that right now. What I'd like to do now is go to the detention center. We had an urgent issue for which I presented to Judge Tanner. I felt it needs to be addressed as an emergency, and I believe Judge Tanner did deem that it was an emergency for us to proceed forward with the work. I've given each one of you a little handout right here. If you'll please look at that, I'm going to kind of reference to that. Out there at the detention center, back on September the 30th, around 3 a.m. in the morning, and Sheriff Thomas, please jump in anytime, interject anything. I believe they were doing a walk parameter checks out there, and they noticed that they had water in some of the tunnel areas out there, the tunnel entries. My hats off to the Sheriff's Department, their employees, they went through that diagram you see right there, the tunnels, and I'll be showing you some pictures here in a few moments. This right here is projected at 2,000 linear feet of tunnels. This are the tunnels that we have put in out there through the years at the fire center. This particular tunnel area right here, they can range anywhere from in height of 7 foot tall to 5 foot tall, 4 foot. The further you go beneath the structure, the shorter the tunnels get. I visited with TAC the other day, and they'd asked the question whenever we presented this issues to them to declare an emergency. Was it done structurally? Did we bring in a structural engineer? No, we did not. The only reason these tunnels exist is because of the workers working beneath them to prevent from caving on top of them. That's the only reason these tunnels were ever put in. So in turn, we left the tunnels open to where we could have egress going up underneath there to work on plumbing as needed. So, the leak happened on September the 30th. My understanding, the Sheriff's Department with Allen's Tri-State Mechanical pumped water out of these tunnels right here until around 3 p.m. that afternoon. I was notified of the situation on the 2nd of October. We went through and started trying to figure out to what extent the damage was. On the 2nd, purchasing was notified, I believe, by Chief Johnson, the situation out there. In turn, I contacted Steve Lapp to make him aware of what was going on in order to get our insurance involved. On the 3rd,
I spoke with Steve again also, and, Kevin Yandel with TAC. And that's where he was trying to determine if our insurance was actually gonna cover some of this out there. As it stands today, I'm gonna show you any of the piping that was beneath the structure or outside of the structure, they will not cover the cost on any of that. They will cover the cost on doing desinfectant heat and dehumidification within these tunnel areas. And as far as the evacuation of the water, that right there needs to be part of the insurance claim as well. So the desinfectant heat is what y'all see when you walked in this building this past January, all the heat coming in the north end, that type of equipment out there. We anticipate around 10 to 12 days to get this area dried out beneath the structure. So I'm gonna kind of take you through some slides. So this right here is at the double entry maintenance doors on the northwest side of the building. You kind of see it starting to crack right there. You're now on the outside of the building. Where you see that sewer clean out is where the cave-in started. And it just continued to get worse during the day. You had a 6-inch fire line out there going through that fed from, the city to this building. It had actually ruptured right at the very edge of the building. The tunnels I'm showing you is right adjacent to where this line ruptured. You can see to your left right there where your downspout is, that was kind of the worst stage. You see a drawing on the wall, that is where the fire line enters into the building. This right here is looking to the immediate right, that is one of the tunnels right there marked on your drawing. So the TAC had actually heard the comment that they had a cave-in. This is what was caving in out there, it was not the structure. Through the excavation of it, they're starting to uncover the fire line. Okay, this right here is the fire line. You can see the hole where it ruptured. One unique thing I look at whenever I look at stuff like this was to determine how and why things happen. This actual fire line right here is a piece of cast iron pipe instead of a steel pipe. So in turn, it's going to get what I refer to as ulcers. This right here is a small area that starts erosion with all the soil around it and everything starting to weigh the pipe. That is an ulcer right there fixing to blow, just like the other big hole was. There's another one. This one right here, took a small hammer and just barely touched it, pipe caved in. They have approximately probably 18 to 20 foot of pipe that they need to replace, and they are having to excavate up underneath the structure to do this. This right here is looking into one of the tunnel entries. These things can range anywhere in depth from ground level down about 6 to 7 foot. It does take ladders to get down into them. We left these here in order to move air beneath the structure. This right here is actually one of your shorter tunnels. You see your CMU walls around the edge. You can see how wet the brick is. It's a major concern to get everything dried out beneath the structure. Back when this building was built out there, there was nobody really overseeing the project. They did not use a proper select fill. You still have a lot of red clay out there, natural to that area. You know what happens to clay when it gets wet? It expands. Back when these tunnels were originally put in, we actually seen these slab heave 3/4 of an inch greater whenever we had all the major issues years ago. So it's very critical for us to get this dried out beneath. This right here is actually the top of the picture, the bottom of the concrete, right beneath it. You see a opening right there. When we built these CMU walls, that right there was actually touching. So that means we've had some movement through there. When these tunnels filled full of water, it actually got behind these center block walls and filled it up as well behind there where we do not have flow fill. So it's a major issue also to get them. So you tell how wet it is, and that's why we're where we are.
Realize that was a 6-inch pipe.
he told you the depth of those tunnels will go, they were wading through 4 to 5 foot of water underneath there throughout that whole tunnel. So it got them pretty good. And right now, we're on our walkthrough fire watch, so that means our guys are constantly having to walk through and check the cells every 15 minutes, so we don't have any fire suppression.
And that's to be replaced this week, fire services.
Is that the roof on that we're looking at right now?
That is the concrete, it's been the bottom of the concrete slab of the jail structure. Not a very good sign.
We think that they're probably using inferior pipe, and that's what, plus then, like you said, nobody was in charge of that except for the commission at that time, they were the general contractor.
Yeah, it is.
Slowly but surely, we're replacing the building.
I know, yeah. Oh, good, you won't need one.
Just need some more room.
Before
Brett,
I,
do you need these for?
no, y'all can keep it. Before I turn
Maybe
this
we
up.
should have that in our public hands, it's the jail layout, right? The tunnels.
Unless you're going to visit a prisoner.
I'm just laying it on the side of there, here.
I recommend public record. I don't release them unless I.
Well, the good thing about it is that we go ahead and build the tunnels for the prisoners, they don't have to dig it themselves. That way, you know, don't tear up anything, get in the tunnel and drop it down.
Where the pipe was, we had 5 foot feet out there by hand digging it down. I mean, they worked with them, I think they earned their $1.50.
They earn their $1.50, yeah. Thanks, Mike.
Before I turn this over to Nicholas and his presentation on a few projects, I'd like to address something out there at the mall. Few property that's out there. Blue Bonnet and Gary Ellison. And I know Commissioner McGee, you've been working very closely with them. If we could please give them a deadline. This stuff needs to be out by this date. And then what items are left, we bring it to you through first scene of the auction or something. That's what's getting this right now.
When will the contract start?
That is up to the commissioner's court whenever you approve it.
I would say certainly by that date.
Yeah, we need to have that stadium emptied out of here.
The sooner the better,
Yes.
because they've been bickering over this
So
for the last
none of
months.
the pickup has been by.
Well, let me give you a little backstory and then Scott, let us know, because I've been working with Scott about what's the right direction. So Blue Bonnet has provided an inventory list of what they think is theirs, as well as Southern Independent. Southern Independent came, did a walkthrough, and made their own list, so they are now.
You said think, what if they think is theirs?
Correct.
Yeah.
Both of them that, yeah, so there is some overlay.
So the list conflicts with.
Yes, so that's where the discussion starts, right? It's you saying you have one list, I have another list, and we both disagree on what's yours and what's mine. So Scott has given me legal direction, and the court has no purview into that. That is their own lane. And what I've done to help them resolve is provide each other both of their list. So I would say, this is your list, and this is your list, and here are cell phone numbers.
You the referee?
Well, I kind of feel like the referee sometimes. Here are your phone numbers. Myself, she's myself here. And here are phone numbers, cell phone numbers, and email addresses. Gentlemen connect, and if there is legal concern, you guys figure it out. So that's been the latest communication that went out. So Scott, as it relates to a timeline, help me understand, can we do that? What would that look like? Because I agree with you, Mike, I think it's just gonna sit there until this battle's out in court, if that's what ends up
And
happening.
it all falls back down on us.
It's just sitting there.
Yeah.
It's just.
I think this is a question of practicality rather than legality. The lease ended on September 30th. So, that stuff is essentially trespassing on our property.
Okay.
So really it's a question of, I think, working with Mike about what would be a solid deadline to tell them, I don't care, we don't care who gets it. Y'all fight that out, but we want it off our property by X date, or we're either gonna put it out on the sidewalk, or we're gonna put it in a storage shed somewhere, and you guys can fight it out about that.
Honestly, what's out there, Blue Bonnet does have some items that are of some value. The other stuff that's being claimed by Mr. Ellison, biggest majority of it's junk. I put it in the trash. But that's their property, they can do with it what they want, we do need to get it out.
So Scott, could you help us with some just draft language to
Sure.
communicate that?
Certainly, if y'all will give me a deadline, we'll be glad to send them a letter and say, you guys figure out whose it is, but it has to be out of the stadium by X.
What about October 31st? That's the end of the month. That gives them really three business weeks, and it's a good 30 days post-contract. October 31st.
Then-
First, and here's something that we'll run into Nicholas and I, is, okay, they're showing up, they're with trailers. You know, we just let whoever shows up first get it, but that's gonna be an issue.
That's the point.
We don't need to be the ones to decide who's it.
If they take somebody else's property, they can file a lawsuit against them.
So where do we fall in this? Got to be, they're out there just like the just amount of that man. Where are we getting?
I think we'll make clear in the language, we're not gonna referee any dispute. If somebody shows up to pick it up, we're gonna let them pick up.
And that's why I think Scott helping us with the language, so that we are very clear what our role is. But I think we have gone above and beyond in terms of diligence and trying to give them all the information.
Then beyond that day, we will get a list of the purchasing agent and let them know what is still there and on the side, trash auction or whatever.
Yeah, I think in the letter, we would say anything that's there after October 31st, we're gonna deem that abandoned and we'll dispose of that property in accordance with the law of Union County surplus or salvage property.
Okay. Perfect, okay. Thank you. I think
You did not marry me.
I did not. There's still this time, yes.
Real quick before we do the ballpark, the Palmer painting, they are done except for like 2 areas where they have to put some caulking, maybe like 2 foot of just a couple of feet of caulk, so. Are they done? You good? Okay. They had lots of issues, so they had to come back. They've done several things to where you guys are at, so. I think they're done, that'll happen next quarter, I just kind of want to let everybody know. So, if I'll find something, let me know.
You will.
We have time. Okay, the stadium. So, I can't remember who called me, it was either
Mine, it was my folder.
that's Mike Fuller, and when I got out there, we started getting quick on the scene, and, I don't know what they're called, the people that take the pictures and do the fingerprints, they were there. I call it everybody that does that CSI. So, anyhow, I just started taking pictures from the furthest east, and this is the little grounds shed where Mike Fuller has some of his equipment. There is some Potter County, or was some Potter County things, no longer. Some of the things that are being argued over are out there. The picture on the right is a wheel type lawnmower, and it's either Blue Bondage or Ellis or somebody's, it's not ours. So it was evidently kids, because they didn't take that. That's a pretty expensive piece of equipment. But they went in through the overhead, came out, kicked the door open, and danced through the mud over to this concession stand, and discharged 2 fire extinguishers, ran around, kicked the door in to get in. And what's weird about this place is none of this is Potter County property. It's got knives, cooking equipment, crock pots, popcorn machines, just random concession equipment in here. Cash registers is the only thing they list, but they think there's just tons of money out there. You know, that's where we store it.
Yeah, that's, we always say that, yeah.
It's like the Goonies, you know, but that way. They tracked through all the powder, and the Potter County Sheriff's Department, they took a bunch of pictures of the footprints. They were really well preserved. I don't know that they'll be able to do anything with them. You know, you have to kind of be in the system to get caught, I guess. This is what's called the hocking room. It's got a washer dryer, and there's just busted glass all in front of it. What they did is they went through and took all the fluorescent tubes they could find and shattered them all over. That's a brand new master lock that I put on, I guess at the beginning, right when I started in June. And if you look at it, they bend it. I don't know what they bend it with, but it's a pretty stout lock. And those locks are about $15 a pop. This is one of the coolers. When I got out there at the beginning, none of the coolers were locked, but if somebody got pushed in there, a kid or whatever, they could be walked in. So I had locked all the coolers. Some of the coolers still had old liquor and things like that in there. Whoever this was had both colors. If you look to the right, they cut the locks, 3 locks. When they got tired, I guess, because they could cut locks. This is another cooler where they cut the locks. This is kind of concerning to me. This is again, I've been argued over the skillets, the propane powered stuff. They drug these propane tanks that still have propane in them. And the picture to the right, they ripped one of the hoses off. One of their favorite pastimes is getting to the top and throwing items off. If you chunk a propane tank, bad things could happen. And these aren't, I don't know if they're 18 or not, but they're not what I would call grown-ups. So someone's gonna get hurt. And, I don't know. And you can also tell their kids because they're standing on trash cans to get to the lights. So, not only are they taking the bulbs, they're tearing the little fixture down. This is the new concession. What I mean by that is, before my time, Mike, and apparently the court approved a remodel of that main concession that it was used at the booths and badges. I mean, it's used, it's the only one I would eat out of. It's the only one legal to eat out of, I think. So right in front of it, they tore down more lights, more fixtures. Here's where they broke in the side window and they crawled through. This is kind of bizarre. Picture on the right that's a fireproof door, and that's the security handle. They beat on that with a hammer and they broke it, and they couldn't get pulled open. So that's when they broke the window inside, and then there's fingerprint on the left when they kicked it back open. Then they got stuck inside, they were called out from the window. Strange. But while inside, they just threw stuff everywhere. That's a window unit on the ground with the picture on the left. Glass everywhere. They didn't touch the pin or the stool, they just threw stuff. This is what made it theft. The corporal explained that to me. When they started throwing things over the fence and it left the property, he said that made it theft. There's extension cords and a roll of industrial foil. They didn't want the stuff, they were just being strange. They were looking for whatever they could find. That's the old manager's area. Again, they just kicked the door in. Picture on the right, there used to be a baseball bat right there, half of a bat, and that's where you dressed your hot dogs up. I guess they were disappointed when they tore that half bat off, they threw it out of the stadium. That's a doorknob, they tried to break it off, and kind of ignored the big lock. All the way to the very top, where the stairs go up to the upper press box, and they kicked this chair loose out of the concrete. And then just threw everything they could out. And that's the end. So, I guess my only concern is when this is taken over. You know, where do we go? Do we fix all this?
Is our insurance cover any of this?
Well, the deductible isn't getting near that.
That's not 45 grand.
What we'll need to do is bring in some of our contractors that have broken windows, actually put them in, that plus, one thing that we look at on stuff like this is our man hours to prepare, place these items. We need to get that information, I guess, to y'all, all the man hours put into it. I think, for a contract, we just need to go through and replace it to our send to them.
Mike, and Commissioner, you brought this up earlier, talking about the agenda item. You know, after this occurred, the very first thing I thought was lighting, right? I mean, that is a very dark piece of property. And maybe as we're moving forward, if there are opportunities for lighting, I think could help in terms of a future
Security type lighting,
Security.
24/7, we currently have that in the concourse area, it's probably some of these fixtures that's been torn up.
And I would say the fence, even the entry fence, I could climb over, and I'm 5'1". So I was thinking through preventative, I don't know if, or what type of wire or something. I just feel like it's easy to climb over, but you guys are closer to the
There's
property.
holes in the fence too, I mean,
Okay.
the stadium needs a lot of
Right.
work out there, you can park a pickup up next to it, hop up in a bed and jump over the fence and go into the stadium.
Yeah, and I think I'm just looking for ideas so that we can be proactive where we can. I recognize we're not gonna go put net new fencing around the entire property, but there may be an opportunity to replace the holes, put some type of wire. It's not difficult to get over the fence, I guess is my point.
I think the best thing is to have somebody out there. If-
Right, it'll help to have the property
Just
not
the
vacant.
presence, you know,
Right.
somebody being out there makes a big difference.
Right, I would agree with that. It's so disheartening.
Maybe we could secret a couple of cameras out there, we could catch these little.
That happened, what, at the end of the fair, I
Well-
believe that anticipated around that
The
Saturday.
last day of the fairs, when they came out of that, and the only reason is there was a big turkey leg laying out there. They bought a turkey leg and the fence. The problem is I fought cameras, I fought the wire. If they get caught on the wire, they're gonna sue Potter County, cut my kid. Put a camera, they're gonna throw a rock at the camera.
No, I think it's, you have to hide the camera.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I don't even know if they're thinking, you know, they're just out to break stuff, so. I don't know. I'm okay with
Thank you. Thank you.
Mike, just one quick question. Have we heard anything on Judge Quinn's project out at the district court building? I know we missed
sorry.
it.
Here's where we're at on that. We've started with storefront doors. Let me back up. The flooring's done, if that's what you're referring to. They got the flooring in, they wanted to put some doors around the court entrance to prevent the public from getting back to where the judges are. Started out with storefront, got quotes. After we were ready to kind of start moving forward, they came back and said they didn't like storefront, it blocked their view. We got more quotes to put in, solid glass doors, which required a header to be put in to support. And, they wanted some, magnetic locks to, secure it, So we went through all that and we were ready, everyone was ready, and now they've come back and said we might want the glass etched. So as of last week, I'm getting proposals to have it etched versus getting vinyl decals. And Mike suggested, hey, give them kind of a deadline and just say, we've got to do something. And as far as I know, they're gonna be able to pay for all of this instead of the county paying and paying, so. That's where we stand on that.
Thank you.
Okay, number 21, jail report. We have 563 people in jail, 85 of those are female, 0 of them children, 84% felons, 10% misdemeanors. We have any county insurance executive session. Agenda items for next time.
Judge, maybe an update on the Motorola project. I had asked for the next meeting date. I'm happy to join that to get some of the detail. That might be helpful. I know there was a lease question on some property. Question item I had. And then just an awareness, so this Wednesday is the Hispanic Heritage Luncheon. If anyone would like to attend, I'm co-chair of that event. But I know, Sheriff, you're on that list, so if anyone would like to join, today's the last day.
Where's that?
It's gonna be at the Wesley Community Center, and it will include Hispanic Heritage Month, which is October 15th. So anybody have to come to that? Let me know if I need to join. Oh, yes, yes.
As you all know, that the county assistant district is on the ballot this time. And there is a PAC that has been formed, it's a specific purpose action committee. And trying to raise some funds for mail outs to voters and need some money to do this stuff, and so what I would like to ask everybody, if you know of people who might be interested in donating, I have some handouts here that you could take and make copies of and share. In order for this thing to be successful, you gotta get the correct wording. This PAC is trying, but they're kind of neophytes in political processes, so it's a little slow. So anyway, all I'm doing is asking for your help if you know people that might be interested. I just want everyone to feel that this can help us all. It's a 2-cent sales tax increase on all unincorporated areas of the county. So that all the sales tax would be the same in the county as it is in the city. And all of that 2 cents would come back to the county coffers. Right now, we're saying we want to use that to help fire protection. But that's not the only purpose. Maybe in 5-10 years, we'll decide, well, we got the fire department for money. It can be used for road and bridge, it can be used for law enforcement, it can be used for other things. So it's not just fire, but that's what we're starting with to get our fire up. But anyway, we really need everyone's help. If you have people who live in the rural areas that you know, encourage them to vote for the county assistance district.
I think this need right now of money is to send a massive bill out, right? To all the people who live out there, you can vote on this, they'll know exactly what you're voting on, so yeah, so they need money.
We have sent out several letters, but I have a copy of that letter, so if you're interested and would like to take a copy and make other copies, share with your friends, people in your department, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Now, remember, we have Commissioners Court Wednesday morning to approve y'all's salaries. I need 3 people here. I think it's gonna be us 3 this time. These 2 are gonna be out of town, so this shouldn't take but about a minute. Okay, so if there's nothing else, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.